Texas Tech and Joey McGuire made quite a bit of noise in the last year or so, and it's going to be fun to see what they can do. A lot of people are picking them to be a sleeper team in the Big 12. And today we take a look at the top 10 players that are going to make life fun if you're a Red Raiders fan. We're actually going to start on the defensive side of the ball. MALIK DUNLAP brings an incredible frame, someone that's going to command a lot of attention at the next level, simply just being 6'3", 220 pounds. You look at his production too, teams gave him a chance to prove his worth, and he did just that. And I really like what Texas Tech brings to the table in terms of being a competitor and being a contender. Now, when you look at what they did in the passing attack, slowing down the pass wasn't exactly a strength, but I think a lot of last year was finding their way. Now, they finished 8-5, which is really impressive, but the passing attack, in terms of defending, I should say, is something that needs to improve. And guys like Malik Dunlap returning, along with quite a few other experienced players in the secondary, that's huge. And if they can take a step forward, this team also takes a step forward. Now, here's where things get really fun. BEHREN Morton comes in to compete with Tyler Shuck, who we'll talk about next, in the quarterback battle. Now, whether you want Morton at 2 or 3, or you want Shuck at 2 or 3, doesn't really matter. One of them has to step up. And a lot of people believe that Morton is the future of this program. And it's easy to see why. You look at what he did last year, he provided quite a bit of excitement in his time. Now, obviously, there were some inconsistencies, but you're going to get that from any freshman. And I think that the excitement there, if Shuck can't stay healthy, is really where this program grows. I don't think that they give Shuck too much time to struggle and figure things out. You either know what you're doing or you don't. And if not, you have a guy in the wings that is ready to prove his worth. Now, we talked about Shuck, and injuries are going to be the biggest thing. If he can't stay healthy, I don't see a reason why McGuire and his staff would continue with him unless they absolutely need him. Now, if he is healthy, there is the potential. I believe that Tyler Shuck can be a pretty good player. What his ceiling is, I'm not sure, but if he can stay healthy, Texas Tech is in good hands. And if not, they just move on to Morton. This is a quarterback battle that's going to be really important for a team that has big goals in 2023. And if Tyler Shuck is the guy, great. But if not, they have depth with BEHREN Morton as well. Now, regardless of who wins the quarterback battle, they have a number of wide receivers that are going to make life really easy. JERAND Bradley is one of those guys, 6'5", 215 pounds. You look at what he was able to do last year, it's almost 800 yards. I think that he is set to have a bigger year as long as the quarterback position gets sorted out and there's consistencies there. You're looking at there's multiple wide receivers, honestly, that could take a step forward and be 1,000-yard receivers. Now, who that is, we're not really sure, but there's a lot of options. And if you're a Texas Tech fan, that has to make you feel good. Next is going to be Myles Price. Again, this is one of the best passing attacks in college football. 12th in terms of yards per game, and guys like Price will play a big role in that. Now, can they take a step forward? I think they can. I think they have the depth, they have the talent, and if they can again figure out the quarterback position, they're in great hands. 513 yards, 2 touchdowns. Another guy that you could see eclipsing 1,000 yards, and the experience is really where this team is gonna separate themselves. I think that's gonna be huge when they're competing in the Big 12, and you look at the talent they have returning, it's a big reason why a lot of people are so high on this team. Now, the rushing attack kinda took a back burner to the passing attack, but Taj Brooks is someone you need to pay attention to. He is an explosive weapon that has pulled off a number of big runs that really catch your attention really quick. And I think that Brooks is an underrated player with good size, and he has the ability to make big plays. I think both as a rusher and a pass catcher. Mainly, we're going to want to use him as a rusher, but you look at 691 yards last year. I think that he can be even better. Again, this passing attack is probably going to take a step forward, and that also opens things up for the rushing attack as well. The player who is new to his position is Xavier White, and in his first year as a wide receiver, as a former running back, we saw him do pretty good things, and I think that he's someone who, if you're sleeping on him, watch out. 572 yards, 3 touchdowns. The production isn't necessarily anything alarming, but when you look at what he was doing last year, I think a lot of it was trying to figure out the position and how to play it. Now that he has that figured out, I think that he is set for another big year. And pair that with the fact that the offense should be better, the passing attack should be better. Xavier White is someone who could be a nightmare for the Big 12. Going back to the defensive side of the ball, again, I think the defense is super underrated, and Tony Bradford Jr. is another one of those guys that fits in that category. 9 tackles for loss, 5 sacks. As an interior defender, that is really good. That deserves a ton of attention, and teams are going to give him that attention. So that's huge for a defense that needs to make stops, that needs to be more disruptive than they were in the past. But even look at last year, 42nd in tackles for loss, not excuse me, sacks, not exactly the best, but 31st in the country in tackles for loss. They were able to disrupt the backfield quite a bit. And I think that they can do that even more. And that's going to help this team more than anything. The offense will do its part, but the defense needs to do it as well. Player who I think we've been waiting to take a step forward is Rayshad Williams. And we've seen glimpses of that, but it's just hasn't come full circle. It hasn't been consistent. And at 6'3", he's a guy that's going to have the size teams are going to want. And one strong season puts you in that conversation for the NFL draft. Now, his size will simply put him there. But if you can put together a really good season, now we're talking about something bigger. And I don't know if a first round is going to fit in there, but we've seen guys come out of nowhere seemingly because they had the size and not the production. And then all of a sudden, they put one season together, and now people are talking about them even more. Final guy is going to be JAYLON Hutchings, another defensive tackle that could have huge ramifications for this defense. Again, if the interior defensive line is doing its part, you're going to see a lot of exciting plays from the linebackers and the defensive ends. Now, you lose a guy like Tyree Wilson, that obviously hurts. But I think that this is a group that could, even though they need to find new playmakers, this is a group that could be even better. And the secondary benefits from that as well. I think you're looking at a team with a great core of players. You're looking at an offense that has tremendous potential in 2023, a defense that has players with NFL potential and the ability to make big plays. And it's easy to see why people like Texas Tech. And I don't know if they can be that team. I think that they have what it takes. They have the foundation to do that. It's just a matter of what happens when the season begins. Do they have the ability to compete with some of those best teams in the Big 12 and confirm what everybody believes?